Hey, what's up? My name's Colin, and I am the real person behind Colin Etheridge Music. Welcome back to the Messed Up Mind podcast. It's 2026 and AI music is still pretty new. So, how did somebody like me end up here? I'll tell ya. Picture it Florida, late 2000s, a young kid, and his journal. Actually, forget the journal, that thing got stolen, and we are not getting into that story today. The whole point is, I have been writing music for a long time, and that is longer than before internet AI ever existed, was even a thought. And I think that's why this whole story is a big deal to me. See, I didn't come from a musical family. I mean, yeah, my grandma played piano, sure, like everybody else's grandma did, but that's about it. I was the only one of my friends even taking musical lessons. I mean, I had some buddies that played guitar, but they learned from their brother's friends who had a band in a garage, and they were like, bro, just play the M chord. And if you know anything about music, you know that doesn't exist. So we didn't even speak the same musical language. Going out and, quote, just getting your friends to start a band wasn't an option either. I never really felt like I had a great voice on top of that, so solo wasn't really an option. And on top of all of that, releasing music is extremely vulnerable. As a teenager who took a lot of crap from a lot of people, I wasn't trying to have more vulnerable situations. I wasn't even trying to make it big either. I just wanted to graduate, become an engineer, design some cool houses, and move on. The music I wrote was really just for me. It stayed in a journal. I knew how it went in my head, and that was enough. I mean, yeah, like everybody does, I dreamed of more, and mainly because I wanted the cars that came with that, but I accepted that being a professional musician just probably wasn't realistic because I just didn't have a way to do that. There were no connections, there was no industry path, you couldn't even hardly look that up at the time. And it wasn't even a serious consideration for me. I wasn't a professional musician. So, fast forward a decade later, I was still writing. I'd gotten better. I was in my 20s now. I'd learned more. I eventually, because of that, wrote a series of songs that I felt was actually special. The difference was these weren't ones I wanted to just let sit in a journal. I wanted people to hear them. I thought people could actually relate to them. So, I started exploring paths to traditional songwriting and releasing. That started with joining a songwriter forum. If you're on Reddit around AI music, you'll know that obviously the assumption is that that would lead me to pitching songs to Taylor Swift, and if I, quote, genuinely tried, I'd be famous. Did that happen? No, I'm still waiting for that. But what I did get was actual feedback, and the songwriting community that I was a part of actually respected what I wrote. I got good feedback. People liked it. And that went straight to my head, as it does. So, because I knew at that point that I was actually writing things that were at least acceptable, I wanted to put music to it. So I explored things like GarageBand and really, really bad autotune. I realized my options were spend a ton of money on the real thing or don't do that. And not having several grand laying around, I tried to rig it. That didn't work. Like I said earlier, note, not a great voice. So here's what I learned in all of this. Music isn't hard, and you'll hear that in our first podcast session if you watched our first video. But making music that goes somewhere beyond the YouTube fail compilations of look at this sad, pathetic guy, that's hard. So, how does AI play into all of that? Well, at the time, and this being probably 2023, early 2024, AI music was very much in its infancy. We're talking like Suno 2.0, AI Tubo 2.0, 1.3, stuff like that. I mean, we're just out of the initial release of it. So I had started seeing these early videos of people experimenting with these AI music platforms, and most of it at the time was joke content, clickbait, meme songs, the kind of stuff that no serious musician would touch. There was no serious music at the time. It was all just content for the sake of creating content. And I think that's what actually intrigued me the most. I started asking the question, what if AI music wasn't just a joke about fart songs or whatever it was they were doing? Now, it's kind of weird hearing that a year later because if you're not part of that early pioneering side of it, that's normal. You see all these ads for Suno of anybody can be famous and write great music. But back then, that's not what the platforms advertised. They didn't even have an advertising budget. It wasn't the vibe. It came a long way since then. So I started experimenting. I was one of the first artists to actually put legitimate work through it. Some of the songs early on were ones I genuinely wanted to hear. They were those special ones. Some of them were things I wrote just for fun, messing around with the new platform. I think if you listen to some of my early music, and I'm not telling you to do that, but if you want to, I get royalties from that. But jokes aside, some of that early content obviously was just for fun. Some of it was very real. And honestly, hearing your music for the first time is a very weird experience that nobody describes correctly. I've really yet to hear somebody perfectly articulate what that's like. So if you haven't experienced it, you really won't understand it until you do it. Are those early versions I released perfect? No. Many of them sounded nothing like what I imagined or what I intended. Some were close, some aren't bad. But for the first time, the point is, the music wasn't just in my head. At the worst case, it was a cover of my own work. And somebody else could actually hear it. And I think that's what changed everything for me. So, fast forward a little bit, I ended up releasing 2 albums and a giant back catalog at the time of other projects. If you go back and look, I am close to nearly 20 albums in just a little over a year, around 2 years maybe. So it was more and more and more and more. AI improved, I improved, I learned the power of writing hooks. I explored genres I never would have touched, like a terrible rap album. I even released Music as a Woman, which unfortunately is probably one of my more popular albums. But that's another conversation for another day. I had a lot of fun with it, just experimenting and learning. And the strangest moment in all of that is probably when I got my first real traction. When Boys Don't Cry started actually blowing up a little bit. That was a little bit of a crazy last minute idea. I had no clue that it would become my biggest early song with over 10,000 streams in less than a year. Crossing that mile felt really surreal. So you can say what you want about AI music. That moment actually proved to me that the songs I wrote resonated with people, and that's what music's supposed to do. That's the entire point, right? So regardless of what people say about AI music, I will always be proud that something I wrote actually did have an impact. So where are things now? I still explore traditional routes. I'm still attempting every now and then to pitch music. I'm experimenting with ways to bring more of my own voice into the music, whether that's through different instrumentation techniques, now that that's an option. I've actually dubbed over some of my own vocals. No song ever really ends up exactly how I imagined it. Nothing is going to be perfect. I think that's something that I've accepted just playing around with AI. Are some songs better than others and closer to what I intended? Oh yeah, absolutely. Are some of them close at all? No. Sometimes they're better. Sometimes they're worse. But honestly, I always imagined people hearing them and now they can. And that's enough for me. So I think one of the things that I get asked a lot is, am I serious about AI music? Yeah, I genuinely love it. It's a lot of fun. I love when someone connects to something that I wrote. But I also understand the limitations. I'll probably never tour, though I actually do have some ideas of how to pull that off. I'd love to be a huge artist, obviously. I'd love to be one of the bigger names in AI music, at least in particular. I'd love to get a Grammy for that. Is that going to happen? Probably not, but hey, we're dreaming here. I'm also realistic that I'm not putting a lot of money into this. I'm having fun with it, and I'm happy that I'm at least breaking even right now. I'm content. I'm further along than I ever thought I'd be, and AI music let me dabble in a bit of a dream. AI music is not my entire identity, and thank God for that, because I would have to smoke a lot to get that raspy vocal that I love so much.